"I adore the warmth with which people greet us as we stroll down the street." Millions envied his fame, wealth, and ideal existence until it all fell apart. Behind the happy exterior of Property Brothers, Drew Scott was concealing a terrible tragedy that nearly brought down all he had worked so hard to create. Though few were aware of the struggles he endured behind the scenes, the world witnessed his achievement. The actress who appeared to have it all, what happened to her? Join us as we unveil the twins' early years, an emotional truth. The birth of Drew and Jonathan Scott took place in Vancouver, Canada, on April 28, 1978. Their lives were full with creativity and discipline from the start. They were identical twins and the youngest of the Scott family. Jim and Joanne Scott, their parents, provided them with a family that valued both creativity and diligence equally. Scott Jim once worked in the Hollywood motion picture business. His work as a stuntman and actor gave him a distinct outlook on life. After experiencing the excitement of action, sets, and cameras, he decided to pursue a more peaceful life centered on family and ranching. His time in the movies was told to the boys as they grew up, which sparked their early interest in entertainment. They also saw in him the value of self-discipline, perseverance, and the readiness to change oneself when needed. Joanne, their mother, had a different kind of influence. Structure, order, and education were important to her. Additionally, she made sure her kids knew the importance of education and hard work. Even as young children, Drew and Jonathan were notable for their enthusiasm and inventiveness. They didn't want to sit around doing nothing or depending on their parents. Jim was a firm believer in allowing his kids to learn the importance of hard work. When he was 7 years old, he established prizes for modest chores around the house. By the time they aged 8, the twins had already begun to go into the realm of business. They started producing modest goods with their own hands, such as nylon-wrapped hangers. They made the decision to pursue this further rather than merely maintaining it as a pastime. With charm and tenacity, they went door to door in their area, offering the hangers to anyone who would purchase them. Though difficult, the work served as a crash school in perseverance, patience, and salesmanship. One woman spotted their potential and ordered the hangers en masse, which was the turning point. For the young guys, this victory meant more than just money. It was evidence that they could achieve genuine success with their efforts. They were both enraged by the command. They understood that they were capable of producing something worthwhile and persuading others of its value. After that, they were more than simply kids trying to make ends meet. With aspirations that extended well beyond their small area, they were aspiring business owners. Their upbringing was anything but typical. Joanne kept assisting them with their studies and making sure that they didn't miss any classes. She stressed concentration, reading, and writing, whereas Jim urged students to be creative and seize possibilities. A well-rounded childhood was provided for the twins by this combination of academic attention and creativity. They learned to have great dreams but also to work hard and plan ahead. The goal of these early endeavors was more than just making money to buy toys or sweets. They learned lessons from the nylon hanger industry that would subsequently be very important. They learned how to interact with all types of people, how to bargain, and how to remain confident in the face of rejection. How, however, did two little lads who sold hangers and aspired to be famous become well known on TV? Let's inquire. From cameras to clowns. Their enthusiasm and drive only increased as Drew and Jonathan Scott approached adolescence. In contrast to many young people who spend their leisure time studying or doing sports, the twins were already trying out ways to make money and improve their abilities. Their first foray was providing entertainment at kids' gatherings. With their own costumes, balloons, and stunts, they trained to be clowns. And soon gained recognition in their neighborhood for their energetic performances. Despite the job's seeming lightheartedness, it required patience, discipline, and the capacity to maintain young audiences' interest. They learned how to perform, make people laugh, and gain confidence in front of strangers thanks to these early performances. They developed their sense of humor and showmanship in those packed living rooms full of laughing kids, which subsequently became a component of their television charm. On one occasion, sports seemed to be Drew's destiny. He was tall, thin, and naturally athletic, and he wanted to play professional basketball. He threw himself into the game since the prospect of playing on the court stoked his competitive nature. This path was unfortunately interrupted by injury. What appeared to be a bright career in sports came to a sudden end, leaving him to find a new path. A new passion that had been silently developing inside of him was revealed, but it was also a challenging adjustment. Amusement. Drew was accustomed to the world of television and movies, having grown up in a home where their father, Jim, had previously prospered as an actor and stuntman. He was always captivated by that heritage, and he threw himself fully into it after basketball was out of the question. Soon started to show up. Drew was able to secure small parts in popular shows, such as Madison and Breaker High, and Smallville, where he served as Tom Welling's body double. Even though they weren't leading parts, they provided him with invaluable first-hand experience on movie sets. He watched how performers were handled by directors, how productions were set up, and how each little element influenced the finished product. There was more to being a part of these shows than merely a thrilling trip. Drew got a taste of what it was like to work in entertainment and started to realize how much commitment it took. He gained knowledge about timing, memorizing, and the value of remaining flexible in a field that rarely offered consistency. His enthusiasm was stoked by these brief but significant encounters, which also made him believe that he belonged in front of the camera. Despite having a stronger aptitude for design and construction, Jonathan encouraged his brother's goals and enjoyed the thrill of discovering new creative endeavors. Drew was enthusiastic, but he soon understood that financial security would not come from acting alone. The entertainment sector was erratic, with opportunities appearing and disappearing at random. He used real estate, something he and Jonathan had previously experimented with while attending the University of Calgary, to support himself once more. They had rented out properties to other students, bought and remodeled them. And Drew realized how this set of abilities could support him while he pursued acting. His life took a significant shift during this time. Juggling performing and real estate allowed Drew to combine two very distinct interests. On the one hand, he might keep pursuing the excitement of appearing in movies and TV shows. He could, however, count on the reliable revenue and opportunity for problem solving that real estate offered. He felt secure in the knowledge that he could always make ends meet, even if auditions didn't pan out, thanks to his experience renovating houses, negotiating contracts, and managing renters. When they eventually entered college, they faced yet another significant turning point that would subtly influence their future in fields like production and real estate. Drew and Jonathan Scott set out to reconcile their academics with financial freedom when they enrolled at the University of Calgary. The twins had already cultivated an entrepreneurial attitude from their early endeavors, although many kids merely paid attention to their schoolwork. Before long, they saw an opportunity that would set the foundation for their future. A rundown property was offered close to the college. And the brothers perceived promise rather than ruin. They put their meager funds together, took the chance of buying the house, and worked tirelessly to renovate it. They worked diligently to fix, paint, and upgrade every area until it was a cozy home fit for renters who were students. Making this choice was a smart one because the property soon produced a consistent income, which made them both feel accomplished. And monetary stability. A desire to increase their efforts was motivated by their accomplishment with that initial residence. Their innate skills were showcased along with the financial benefits of renovating the property. Drew's ability to negotiate and see the big picture complemented Jonathan's ability to create and build things. They understood together that they had found a potent mixture that they might use again. The twins' confidence and community recognition increased as they worked on more projects. Their ability to constantly turn dilapidated structures into appealing locations caught the attention of friends and peers. However, not all aspects of the procedure went smoothly. Dealing with realtors was frequently frustrating. They had to cope with ineffective agents or agents that didn't live up to their standards. Drew made the decision to act independently because he was unwilling to allow obstacles stop them. He completed his coursework and obtained his real estate license, enabling the brothers to oversee transactions directly. An important turning point was reached with this action. With Jonathan concentrating on construction and Drew managing the business side, they were now able to finish jobs with more control. Soon after they became more professional, the Scott Real Estate Company was founded. The Scott brothers were in their mid-20s and had previously sold a lot of houses. Every project that was successful enhanced their standing as astute and trustworthy investors. These young men weren't merely experimenting with careers. These well-respected businesspeople had a distinct sense of purpose. Meanwhile, the dream that had followed Drew since he was a teenager persisted. The allure of the entertainment sector persisted. His passion had always been acting, and while real estate offered security, it did not completely satiate his creative needs. In 2006, Drew took a risk. He moved to Vancouver, a city with a thriving film industry, from Calgary in the hopes of pursuing acting roles. To maintain the stability of their expanding business, Jonathan remained to oversee the real estate firm. Drew's leap, meanwhile, was not simple. He soon discovered that he was having financial difficulties, as breaking into the entertainment industry required more than just ambition. The stability he had experienced felt far away as he began to accumulate debt. This time put his fortitude to the test. Drew returned to the abilities that had always helped him, determined not to give up. In Vancouver, he brought the real estate industry back to life. Employing the same drive and tenacity that had propelled their past achievements, he was able to establish contacts in the entertainment sector and restore financial stability as a result. He went to lessons, looked for auditions, and cultivated a network of contacts. Although it was difficult, juggling both routes showed his flexibility and tenacity. Despite this challenging period, the boys' love of entertainment remained unwavering. In 2002, Drew, Jonathan, and their older brother, JD, created Davidian Production Group. Their interest in media was not a fad. The corporation concentrated on independent film and television productions. The combination of their business drive and creative instincts demonstrated a long-term vision. It meant that Drew was still making a contribution to the realm of production and storytelling, despite the fact that he was not getting many acting jobs. The pitch that would alter everything then came. Let's tell you how the brothers persuaded a television network to risk their money. Property Brothers Ascent. By the end of the 2000s, television was looking for the next big thing in reality shows. After observing how popular talent competitions were, networks were keen to incorporate that enthusiasm with fresh content. This goal gave rise to a pitch known as Realtor Idol, which was created to resemble American Idol in format. The idea never caught on, but it was supposed to show off real estate agents vying for attention. The producers realized they needed to reconsider their strategy when audiences failed to react favorably to the concept in its early stages of development. The production business Cineflix made the decision to take a new course. They envisioned a series that would showcase the emotional journey of families looking for a house, rather than mimicking a singing competition. My Dream Home was the working title, and producers first thought Drew Scott would be a perfect fit to help purchasers navigate the real estate market. They intended to match him with a female host who could counterbalance his charm with a keen understanding of design. Even if viewers were more familiar with reality television, there was still a sense of something lacking. Drew realized that if he invited Jonathan in, the show would be much more interesting. In contrast to other possible co-hosts, Jonathan already had years of expertise building and remodeling, and he had a close bond with his brother. When combined, they symbolized two sides of a single coin. Drew could handle contracts, negotiations, and the home buying process, while Jonathan could plan changes and carry out the actual work. They were not just co-workers but also siblings with a common past and sense of humor, which added to their natural chemistry and authenticity. After Cineflix consented to try this formula, it was immediately apparent that the brothers had discovered something special. As the proposal developed, HGTV approved the series in 2011, and it was formally launched as Property Brothers. It was a simple but efficient format. Drew guided families through listings to find possible properties that would fit their needs and goals while staying within their means. Jonathan took over the design and renovation once the acquisition was finalized, transforming what frequently appeared to be a fixer-upper into a dream home. The emotional drama incorporated into each episode, rather than merely the house flipping process, was what set the show apart. During construction, viewers witnessed families who were initially full of hope but were later overcome with worry, and eventually burst into tears upon seeing the completed item. This trip reflected the experiences that many individuals wished they could have. It went beyond flooring, paint, and walls. The goal was to provide families with a better future vision. The format was enhanced by the personalities of Jonathan and Drew. The show was energized by their competitive teasing, their humor eased difficult moments, and their ability to relate to customers made viewers feel involved. Property Brothers evolved from a remodeling program into a narrative about dreams, family, and change. The program's results came right away. It garnered high viewership in its debut season and started to gain traction abroad. People from all around the world could identify with the idea of looking for cheap accommodation and witnessing the transformation. Viewers who might have been dubious of more polished or ostentatious reality stars were drawn to the brothers' Canadian roots because they presented them as approachable and kind. They gave off the impression of being sincere, diligent, and really interested in assisting others. Another factor was the show's premiere date. Many people struggled in the early 2010s due to unstable home markets. Viewers were inspired by Jonathan's transformation of rundown places and Drew's ability to close transactions. It demonstrated that, with ingenuity and perseverance, homeownership aspirations might be fulfilled even during difficult economic times. As HGTV's most dependable program, the show immediately improved the network's standing and attracted advertisers looking to reach its expanding viewership. Behind the scenes, Drew experienced the realization of his lifelong ambition to appear on screen, but not in the acting parts he had previously dreamed of. Rather, he found a new kind of performance where his real estate expertise merged with his amusement and interpersonal abilities. By using his design abilities as a storytelling tool, Jonathan also gained attention. Together, they had discovered the ideal platform for showcasing their skills. Now that they were famous, the brothers didn't stop at a single performance. An empire was established by them. However, there were unexpected demands that came with success. The empire grows. With Property Brothers, Drew and Jonathan Scott were able to find a formula that appealed to viewers all around the world. They quickly transitioned from TV hosts to the head of an expanding franchise. Brother vs. the initial spin-off. The brother took advantage of their sibling rivalry. Rather than cooperating, the twins engaged in competition, renovating a property within the same time frame and budget. Their varied styles were emphasized by the lighthearted competition, which also brought a new level of tension and comedy that the crowd adored. Property Brothers Forever Home, which catered to families who wished to renovate homes they already owned, followed next. This series was more emotionally charged than the first. Not all of the clients were updating. They were spending money on homes where they would hopefully raise kids, commemorate life events, and create futures. Since the duty went beyond making little adjustments to completely altering lives, Drew and Jonathan felt more pressure. The Celebrity IOU was their most ambitious project to date. Hollywood celebrities including Michael Bublé, Melissa McCarthy, and Brad Pitt collaborated with the brothers to surprise family members with extravagant remodeling. Seeing famous people swing hammers with the brothers combined star power with genuine gratitude, attracting viewers who might not have otherwise watched a house renovation program. In the meantime, lifestyle programming, documentaries, and even scripted projects were added to the scope of their business, Scott Brothers Entertainment. Drew and Jonathan had evolved from being TV stars to entrepreneurs running a media conglomerate. They were essential to the brand and success of HGTV at this point, making them some of its most bankable personalities. But there were difficulties behind the glitz. Traveling constantly, working long hours, and having little time to recuperate were all part of filming several episodes in various locales. In addition to hosting, they served as executive producers, managing timelines and budgets. They were frequently exhausted both mentally and physically by the workload. As the franchise expanded, maintaining authenticity became more challenging. Fans anticipated laughter and warmth, but the well-executed show was criticized. Homeowners acknowledged that living after filming was less ideal, and reports appeared concerning hurried timetables and tight budgets. More than it looked on TV. In 2019, the brothers were also embroiled in controversy as homeowners from a spin-off filed a lawsuit accusing contractors of subpar work. Despite not being in charge of the building, Drew and Jonathan had to protect their brand and keep producing events that gave people hope since their reputation was on the line. By 2019, the twins were well known and Property Brothers was broadcasting in over 150 countries by the seventh season. The demands of running such an empire, however, were unrelenting. The strain was particularly exhausting for Drew. He started to show up in episodes less regularly, which sparked rumors and conjecture among fans. Or was there something more sinister going on behind the scenes, or was he just tired? However, just when it appeared that nothing could be stopped, Drew started to mysteriously leave the program. How did things go behind the scenes? Let's reveal some startling information. The health scare that fans were horrified by. By 2019, Property Brothers was HGTV's mainstay and one of the most dependable shows for viewers worldwide. Both Jonathan Scott and Drew were at the top of their game. Drew abruptly disappeared from significant scenes, and the series-defining chemistry appeared unbalanced. Online forums were a hive of conjecture. There were many who questioned if the brothers had engaged in covert combat. Others, however, thought Drew was going to leave the franchise completely. The reality, however, was much more disturbing. Drew had been fighting a severe and enigmatic sickness in secret for almost a year, and at first, neither he nor his family knew what was causing it. He kept a lot of the struggle under wraps so as not to disappoint his staff or the audience, but the cost was getting too great to overlook. He had concerning and enduring symptoms. Drew had a persistent fatigue that was similar to the illness but never went away. He experienced considerable gastrointestinal discomfort due to his unstable digestive system, which made it difficult for him to spend long hours on set. Even easy tasks became too much to handle. He found that heat had a significant effect on his body and that regular physical activity left him exhausted. He had made exercise a regular ritual, but suddenly it was out of the question. He was becoming more and more frail, a guy whose career had been founded on inexhaustible energy and charisma. The situation was made much more difficult by the ambiguity. Despite Drew's repeated tests and consultations with multiple specialists, no one was able to identify the cause of his pain for months. After every meeting, there were more questions than answers. Drew struggled with the worry that his illness might be life-threatening as the cameras kept filming and Jonathan proceeded to make modifications. For him and his family, who watched in helplessness as he looked for a diagnosis, the uncertainty was emotionally taxing. After thorough medical evaluations, the solution finally became clear. Drew was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and mercury poisoning, which together accounted for his crippling symptoms. The realization was both reassuring and terrifying. On the one hand, the diagnosis made it clear that he had a terrible ailment that could be fatal if addressed. Conversely, it offered a clear course of treatment following months of uncertainty. After receiving the diagnosis, Drew was forced to face the fact that he could no longer push himself as hard. After he left the set, Jonathan was left to handle the show mostly by himself. Despite the fact that the series went on, many viewers felt that it did not feel the same without both brothers sharing the screen. There was real concern among devoted supporters that Drew would not make a comeback. Was their enduring collaboration coming to an end? During this time, Drew concentrated on getting better. Therapies aimed at lowering the harmful mercury levels in his body, lifestyle modifications, and close medical care were all part of the treatment. He took it more slowly and was mindful of his nutrition and rest. His health gradually started to get better. Although it took time, the road to rehabilitation was paved with advancements. Drew also decided to open up to his fans about his journey as he recovered. He shared updates on social media, candidly sharing his worries, frustrations, and the lessons he was learning. By doing this, he used a personal adversity to make a statement about the value of self-care in public. His candor inspired many viewers who had struggled with their own health. Drew chose to embrace his vulnerability rather than conceal it, demonstrating that obstacles may affect even well-known people who are recognized for their achievements and optimism. In addition to regaining his energy, Drew had changed his viewpoint by the time he was fully back on the show. No matter how demanding a career may be, the event served as a reminder to him that his health must come before work. Fans were inspired by his tenacity, which also gave his public persona a deeper meaning. The affable real estate agent who negotiated fantasy homes was no longer him. He was also a survivor who had persevered through the threat of losing everything. However, Drew's heart was already on a different path as his body was recovering. It would forever alter his life. Drew Scott's future, family, and love. Drew Scott discovered something even more transformative than professional achievement amid the chaos of filming, remodeling, and creating a television empire. While visiting Los Angeles in 2010, he met Linda Fan at a neighborhood pub. What started as a fortuitous encounter swiftly evolved into an incredible event. They talked about how they both love to travel, have adventures, and be curious about the world. The friendship quickly grew into a partnership based on respect and appreciation for one another. Drew's high level of energy was balanced by Linda's personality. She was strategic and grounded as a venture capitalist, concentrating on long-term growth and making wise choices. Drew flourished on his inventiveness and extroverted personality, but Linda provided stability and perspective. They came together to build a partnership in which their opposing traits complemented one another. Their friendship was evidently more than a passing fad as friends and family observed how well they complemented each other. Drew and Linda made the decision to move forward after laying a solid foundation for 8 years. They were married in Italy in 2018 in a stunning wedding. Both their own flair and their love of family customs were reflected in the party, which perfectly encapsulated their love story. The occasion was full of happiness, music, and touching moments, all while being surrounded by loved ones. Drew and Linda Say I Do, a TLC series that gave viewers a unique glimpse into their personal lives, which included their wedding. It gave many people an opportunity to witness a new side of Drew, one that showed his intense love and dedication outside of the TV. In 2022, their romance took a new turn. Upon the arrival of Parker James Scott, their first child. Being a father added a new aspect to Drew's life, which he enthusiastically welcomed. He frequently talks about how much he enjoys seeing his son develop and the new perspective it has given him. Despite the rigors of filming and managing several businesses, Drew prioritizes his family. Through his social media posts, he gives people a peek into the joy he and Linda have created together by sharing pictures of peaceful evenings at home, fun family times, and travel experiences. Despite these personal achievements, Drew's career has not slowed down. With fresh initiatives, he and Jonathan are still building their brand. Don't Hate Your House and Backed by the Brothers are 2 upcoming performances that will introduce new concepts to their extensive catalog of popular productions in 2024. These initiatives show off their capacity to innovate continuously while maintaining relationships with audiences who value their blend of knowledge and relatability. Drew is now a fervent supporter of sustainable house design outside of the television industry. By highlighting the value of environmentally friendly restoration techniques, he demonstrates that building stunning homes doesn't have to compromise the environment. In order to further solidify their standing as reliable experts in the field, he and Jonathan have co-authored a number of books on house remodeling and design. The story of Drew is a powerful illustration of resiliency and creativity. He has discovered fulfillment in love and family, overcome personal obstacles, and gained international renown. In addition to being a captivating TV personality, he is now a committed businessman. An ardent supporter, a kind spouse, and a loyal father. Fans are reminded by his ongoing story that the greatest achievements in life are frequently found in the relationships we cultivate and the principles we preserve, rather than in celebrity or wealth. What do you think of Drew Scott's amazing journey from health issues to employment success and family happiness? Post your ideas in the comments section below.